Okay, so for video number 2 in making your slab mug, today what you're going to need your sponge, you're going to need this blue rubber flexible kidney, and a paintbrush, and then this I actually found in the hardware department. It's actually double in this size. I believe it's called a rasp. It's for planing down planks of wood. So it works really great here later on. I'll show you how that's going to work. Alright, and my clay has dried and set up to the point of being called leather hard. Now, just to explain what that further means is that it's not all soft and squishy like it was in the other video. I'm kind of pushing here. Like, I can push with a little more pressure, and you can still see that it's soft enough that I can just ever so slightly still manipulate the form of it. So our goal today is we want to get rid of all this extra junk that flares out at the bottom. We want this to be all nice straight up and down. Right now it kind of has this little bit of a curve from where I blended and overlapped it. But by the time we get done with this, we want it to be all nice and smooth. We won't be able to see that we even added a piece of clay to the bottom of the cylinder. So let's go ahead and get started. The first tool that I'm going to use is I'm going to grab this rasp, and you got to make sure that it's going to drag the right direction to carve it away from there. So what I'm doing is I'm going around this whole entire mug and I'm shaving away this extra stuff at the bottom that kind of flares out. Now, if it's not shaving for you, chances are you're going the wrong direction with it and it's not coming out. So make sure you're using this the right direction. And I would go through and plane everything down. And again, the goal, I'm going to go ahead and work all the way up to the top. I'm going to go all the way around the entire cylinder. Had a lot to shave off down there at the bottom. So I would keep going, keep going, keep going all the way around the bottom. And my goal is to get this to be as nice and round as we can on the bottom. So I would keep working on that. And if you set your mug down, be careful that you're not setting it in a pile of your shavings, or you're going to give yourself a headache later on for smoothing it up. So this is clogging up a little bit. I'm just going to clean that off a little bit. And I'm going to keep shaving. Alright, so I think you get the idea on that. I'm going to keep going. Now here's the thing, where I overlapped it yesterday, where I brought that cylinder or the slab piece of clay from our pattern and folded it over, overlapped it. You can still kind of see my finger dents there. So I would also encourage you to go ahead and shave that up a little bit. The other thing is too, when I make mine and I'm blending that inside, I usually get one side a little bit higher on the rim than the other. So I would also encourage you to shave that down so that it's level and straight all the way across. We don't want one side of your mug higher than the other. So I'm going to kind of lay this over on its side so my shavings fall onto my canvas board that I'm working on, or whatever work surface you're working on. Okay, now I also had some shavings that kind of fell down inside there. Guess what? It's stuck in there. You might need to get a dry paintbrush and kind of swipe that right out of there, okay? So just be forewarned on that. Alright, next step. I've got this level. I've got it all into a nice cylinder as straight up and down as we can get the entire thing. Okay, next, we're going to move on to, I'm going to scoot these out of the way. I think the easiest way is to just take one of your tools, the flexible kidney, push all that stuff out of the way. Now, using your rubber flexible tool, or kidney, flat side, curved side. You want the curved side to meet up against your project. So what you're going to do is you're going to start at the bottom and swipe up. And so hopefully you can see where that texture of that shaver is being removed. Okay. So, however, when I'm holding onto this, it's kind of squishing my mug. So I'm actually going to work with it sitting on the table surface, starting with my kidney down at the bottom, and I'm just going to swipe up, and I'm actually applying quite a bit of pressure. Not so much that it's caving the walls of my cylinder in, but you can see that I'm just kind of turning it as I'm swiping up. Okay, so I would keep doing that and making it all nice and smooth. The next thing that you could do is come back with your wet sponge. Get it wet. We don't want it like dripping wet, okay? So make sure you wring out the extra water. Then you're going to come through and smooth, smooth, smooth. Try to get that as smooth as you can. The other final thing that I want you to look for, do you have any little caved in areas, any little dents? If you do, like I have one right there, you might be able to see that. I'm going to take just an extra little bit of chunk of clay, just a little bit. And I'm actually supporting it. My hand is small enough that I can fit it down in the bottom to support it. And I'm just going to ever so gently just blend that into my cylinder. And then I'm going to have to come back in with my wet sponge and blend, 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 apply a little bit of pressure, and work on smoothing that. The other thing that I want you to look for is that you can still see here on my top rim. The goal is to get this to be an even thickness all the way around. Now, it's a little thick right here. Again, that's where I overlapped it. So I can work on trying to get that to be the same thickness. I'm just kind of pushing it up, which means I'm going to have to come back through with this tool and shave it down. Again, you might have to flip-flop back and forth between the tools that you have available. Push those off to the side. And then the other thing is I've got this weird little like dent here. It's not the same thickness right there. So I'm just going to apply that same technique that I did to fill in that finger dent on the outside. And I'm going to take that. And I might even kind of roll this. Now, I'm hardly using any clay whatsoever. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of patch this up at the top. And that's going to camouflage it so that entire rim is going to appear to have the same thickness as the rest of the mug all the way around. Now, it's not going to be down here, but it's going to give that illusion at first glance that that rim is the same thickness all the way down through the cylinder, okay? So I would just keep on working on blending that in. And again, the goal at this point, nice and smooth, nice and round, as close as you can get it to being perfect, perfectly round. And we'll swap it out. Here's one that I totally have refined the way that I want it before I start adding on my three-dimensional decorations like what I have on this one, and that'll be coming up in the next video.